Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the Knowledge event on climate change and green growth. We have an impressive array of invited guests. I am delighted that we are joined today by the former United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. I would like to commend him for his global leadership on climate change and green growth in his role as co-chairman of the Global Center for Adaptation. I am also delighted that Right Honorable Alok Sharma, President of COP26, is here with us today. Welcome, Alok. I am delighted as well that we are joined by Yannick Glemarek, the CEO of the Green Climate Fund. And a very warm welcome to my dear sister, Amina Mohammed, the newly reappointed Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. Congratulations. I'd like to commend you for your global leadership on sustainable development goals, including galvanizing actions to tackle climate change, especially in Africa. I would like to thank each one of you for your partnership with the African Development Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, as Africa builds back from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, it should do so with greater priority to climate resilience and green recovery. The imperative to do so is very clear. Africa, which contributes less than 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions, is facing the worst effects of climate change. The effects are manifested in droughts in the Sahel, the drying up of the Lake Chad Basin, climate-related swarms of desert locusts in Eastern Africa. We feel it with the tropical cyclones that devastated Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, which left 800 people dead with $2 billion in losses. Africa needs massive support to adapt to climate change. The African Development Bank is taking bold actions to build climate resilience for African countries. This is why the bank increased the share of total financing devoted to climate from 9% in 2016 to 35% in 2019. We expect to reach 40% by the end of 2021. Since the entry into force of the Paris Agreement in 2016, the African Development Bank has invested $12.3 billion in climate actions. The bank will do even more to support Africa. We have committed to mobilize $25 billion in climate finance for Africa by 2025. As we work on this, we are prioritizing climate adaptation. You can see it in our actions. The share of the bank's global climate financing devoted to climate adaptation increased from 37% in 2016 to reach a record 63% in 2020. We are forging strong global partnerships to do even more. The bank and the Global Center for Adaptation launched the African Adaptation Acceleration Program to help mobilize an additional $12.5 billion for climate adaptation actions. The program has received massive support. It was endorsed by over 30 African heads of state and government and global leaders who attended the Leaders' Dialogue on COVID-19 climate emergency held on the 6th of April of this year. The African Development Bank is investing heavily in renewable energy to support energy transition and promote green growth. The bank financed the 800 megawatts Middle solar project in Morocco, which is now providing electricity for 2 million people. The bank also financed the 310 megawatts Lake Turkana wind project in Kenya, the largest wind farm in sub-Saharan Africa. The bank has launched the Desert to Power initiative to develop 10,000 megawatts of solar power in the Sahel of Africa, which will be the largest solar zone in the world, to provide electricity for 250 million people. We are working with the United Nations to finance Africa's Great Green Wall, to protect the Sahel against desertification. The Great Green Wall, which consists of 8,000 kilometers long and 15 kilometers wide of trees, is Africa's climate lungs. The bank has committed to mobilize $6.5 billion towards the development of the Great Green Wall. I was honored to have been named a champion of the Great Green Wall by President Macron of France to help mobilize global resources. So let me do my job. Africa needs a lot more resources to decisively tackle climate change. I commend the leadership of the UK and Italy in co-organizing the COP26 coming up in Glasgow later in the year. Glasgow must be about actions, and importantly, financing actions. For COP26 to be a success, it must deliver concrete financing. The promised $100 billion per year in climate finance by developed countries to developing countries almost 10 years ago must be met. Without it, developing countries cannot meet climate actions in their nationally determined contributions. The climate may change, but promises must never change. So let's turn promises into actions. Africa must not be shortchanged by global climate finance. Africa can no longer wait. Thank you very much.